Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Josh with Survive First Contact, and today we're going to talk about some considerations for putting together a microlight survival kit. Now, why a microlight survival kit? Well, if you're just getting into the survival and prepping game, putting together a microlight kit is a fairly cheap and easy way to get your foot in the door. Also, putting together a microlight kit is good practice because with a space constraint, having to get everything into a small package, it really forces you to assess the necessities of survival, what you actually need, and pack those and only those. So, types of items to put in your microlight survival kit. I go by the 7 C's of survival. Lots of debate in the survival community about what the C's of survival are, but just go with me on this and we'll talk through them. So, 7 C's to me are cutting device, combustion devices, cover, cordage, container, communication, in this case signaling, and then broad considerations for security and medical. Now, we'll talk through what each one of these items is that satisfies one of those C's and what you're going to use it for in your survival kit. So, your cutting device, something like a folding knife or a multi-tool suggested for a smaller space pack. Your cutting device, innumerable uses for cutting devices, however, the primary ones in a survival situation: preparation for firewood and striking your fire-making device like your ferro rod or your magnesium bar. So from that one, moving into combustion device. Now, I mentioned, first talk about the magnesium bar. Strike this with your knife to create sparks onto a pile of magnesium shavings, get your fire going. However, do yourself a favor. Pack simple ways to make a fire as well. Redundancy is key in survival, so a lighter from your gas station or some waterproof matches in a case here. Just because you don't get any extra points for starting a fire with a ferro rod or magnesium bar, so pack the easy ways to make fire and go with that. Moving into cover, a couple different categories of cover within survival. There's cover that you wear, something like your clothing or a heavy rain jacket or a jacket for the cold weather. Cover you can physically cover up with, like your space blanket here, or yes, your plastic garbage bag. It will insulate when needed. Or something like a tarp or a poncho that you can bring out there and erect a shelter with. With that said, moving into cordage, your next C, I have some 550, some Para-Cord here, primarily used to erect your cover. However, again, innumerable uses, just like your knife and your combustion devices, for cordage in a survival situation. Next, moving into container. Now, container here, I have both stainless steel canteen cup that nests around my bottle and a stainless steel bottle. Now, specifics on your container and this bottle: this is a Clean Canteen 40-ounce bottle, a single walled bottle. Now, I prefer single walled bottles in survival situations for your pack out because you can boil water and cook food inside of a single walled bottle. You just take the plastic lid off, you can stick this whole thing in the fire and purify water and cook food without the risk like you would have with a vacuum sealed bottle where you have that layer of air inside the bottle. You run the risk of that exploding once that heats up. You don't want an explosion, a random surprise explosion within your survival situation, so highly suggest single walled bottles so you can stick them right in the fire and cook and purify from there. Moving into our communication device, C. I have two different ones here. These are more like signaling, but signaling is a form of communication. So I've got my signal mirror here, and then my rescue whistle to signal for rescue personnel, let them know where I am and help me get rescued. Last, C for here, broad considerations for security and medical. Now, broad considerations for security, things about the terrain, your environment, or people. How are those things threat to you if they are? And what can you do to mitigate that? What can you bring in your microlight kit to help address that? And then your basic considerations for medical. I have attached to the outside of my kit here a tourniquet to be able to throw on an extremity and armor a leg and stop a severe bleed should that occur in your survival situation. So that covers my 7 C's broadly inside of my microlight survival kit. By the way, everything from here over fits into this pouch with my knife attached and tourniquet attached to the outside. Now, some other things I like to carry that also fit in here that I didn't mention or didn't necessarily fit specifically into any of the 7 C's: iodine tablets. You can purify water through boiling, but but depending on the situation, it may not be feasible for you to make a fire. You may not be able to stop to build a fire, or if you're evading some kind of threat, it may not be safe to make a fire and give away where you are. So bring iodine tablets, add these to water in the specified ratio. These tablets specifically are 2 tablets per quart. Let it sit for 30 minutes and your water will be purified. So highly suggest packing iodine tablets. If you don't want to pack this bottle, put them in a little plastic baggie and just label it how many tablets you need per quart of water that you're trying to purify. Next, from water, I have my package of drip drop powder. Drip drop is an oral rehydration electrolyte solution, just because dehydration is a huge risk to you in a survival situation. So bringing something to replenish some of your sugars and electrolytes, keep you from cramping, keep you going, keep your mind clear, keep you from going down from dehydration in your survival situation. From there, I have a micro compass, help me navigate, and I have a couple bags here. One is a micro fishing kit. I just have some fishing line, some hooks, some swivels, and some sinkers so I can fish by hand wherever I end up. And this one, I just have some wire to aid me in the construction of like traps and snares to help trap animals for food. Next, I have my little plastic baggie, my little mobile pharmacy here. This kind of goes into your basic medical considerations. If you have known medical conditions, probably a good idea to keep some of your prescription meds with you and then label on the bag what the dosage is and when you need to take it. Also in here, I have some Benadryl, some allergy medicine to help arrest a severe allergic reaction that could affect your breathing and send you into a survival type situation. Rescue inhaler, again for breathing. More drip drop powders, and I have some goodie powders back here, which is just some aspirin and caffeine. Good for a painkiller. Caffeine give you a little bump if you need it in your survival situation, and can be used in a situation where something like a heart attack is occurring. It'll help thin out someone's blood. So those are the things I carry in this specific pouch, and that they all fit for my microlight kit. And I also like to talk about a couple other options to put together microlight kits for you. So a favorite within the survival community, an Altoids tin. Not a ton of space, but in here, again, I have some of my iodine tablets to help me purify water without having to make a fire. Going into my cutting devices, I have a razor blade. It's flat, fits in here. It'll work in a pinch as one of your cutting devices. Got another cutting device in here. This is like a money clip knife from the C.R.K.T. company. It folds out like that, number nice and small and light. Fits in my Altoid container. And lastly in there, Magnesium Bar. Scrape off your magnesium into pile, strike your striker with whatever metal you have, probably your cutting device, onto your pile of magnesium and make your fire. So from there, another great cheap option if you're just getting into the survival game, if you have a military surplus store available, this is a kit that I used to use when I was active duty. Just your basic plastic 1-quart canteen and your nested metal canteen cup. Boil and purify water, cook food, carry water with you, add your iodine tablets and purify that way. And you've got some pockets on the outside here to add other things off of your 7C survival list. And last, I wanted to cover some different kinds of containers. This is really simple. This is just a plastic collapsible 1-liter bottle from Nalgene. You can see that just kind of folds up relatively flat. Fold it out when you need it. Add your iodine and water and purify that way. Also in a pinch, can't underestimate the use of a plastic bag. Now, I'm not ashamed to say I've used these to keep warm with. I've put these on my feet in the past in an extremely cold environment to help insulate. Yes, it doesn't breathe very well, but the name of that game is insulation, and they do work in a pinch. Also, heavyweight freezer bags like this, you can fill this with water if need be and add your iodine tablets at the correct ratio, and you can purify water even in this plastic bag. So great things to have, plus super flat and light. Pack a bunch of these, you can bring them anywhere. That's pretty much all I have for you today, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember, like and follow on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you haven't been to my website yet, survivefirstcontact.com, you can go there and get my free versions of abbreviated survival guides and trauma medical guides. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Cheers and stay safe out there.